Welcome, everybody, to a bonus episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. I am your host, Brad Jost, and I've seen Jurassic World Dominion, and I wanted to make sure I got my thoughts and feelings out there. This episode is going to be filled with spoilers. The first portion will have, no spoilers, and then I'll give you a clear warning when spoilers do occur, so just be warned. I did a preamble before I saw the movie, and then I did a full, 39 or something minute conversation by myself while I was driving home from the theater. So please enjoy this. Please go have fun out at the theaters. Don't listen to all those critics out there. Man, this movie was so much fun. Spoilers for my thoughts. But this is going to be, my reactions and all that stuff. Not necessarily a review, I guess, but kind of. I really love this movie, and I can't wait for everybody out there to see it. I can't wait to talk about it more in full depth, whether it's on our live streams every Wednesday night or on the podcast itself. And if you want to get your thoughts and feelings in on this movie, please give us a call, 732-825-7763. You can call that voicemail line and leave a message there. Or you could open up the voice memo app on your phone and email us a little voice memo. Try to keep them around 3 minutes long. And just send them over to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com, and I will include all of your thoughts and feelings in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned on that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. These are my initial thoughts, reactions, preamble, all that good stuff for Jurassic World Dominion. Enjoy. All right, today is the day that Jurassic World Dominion is going to be right in front of my eyes, up on the big screen. Whew, time has finally come. I can't believe it. I feel like it has just been so incredibly long. It feels like it has been 10 years waiting for this movie to come out. I don't know why. I guess just because of that extra year makes this feel so much longer than it should. I don't know. I was doing good, and when we crossed that mark last year, and they said that, hey, it's gonna come out in another year, in 2022, and I was like, oh, great, that'll be awesome. It gives us another year to talk about this movie, to get excited. And it worked out that way for a very long time until fairly recently. I feel like the weight of this movie being delayed an extra year really started to hit. So here we are. We finally made it together, and Jurassic World Dominion is here. I am at a train station. I am just sitting in my car for a few. I have to catch a train into New York City. Going to be going to the Lincoln Square AMC Theater to go see Jurassic World Dominion in IMAX. I believe it is a true IMAX screen, if I remember correctly, because sometimes AMC doesn't have legit IMAX screens, but I think this one is. I believe this is the same theater that I went to for Fallen Kingdom. I think so. Maybe. I don't know. I think it is. But this is the theater where they are recording the Q&A for the thing that's going to be streaming across all the different theaters. So I'm very excited about that. Got front row seats, so hopefully the crew, is right there in front of us. Colin, Emily, Bryce, DeWanda, Jeff Goldblum. Hopefully they'll be right there in front of me, so I'll get to stare into each and every one of their eyes. But I'm nervous. I'm feeling nervous because, we've seen a lot of reviews and we've seen a lot of reactions. And, I'm nervous for the release of this film. I hope it does well. I really, really hope it does. I hope I enjoy it. I think I feel differently this time going in than I did with Fallen Kingdom. With Fallen Kingdom, I felt like, I knew a lot of what was going to happen based off what we saw in trailers and stuff. For this film, I feel like we know a lot, but it does, based off the trailers and everything we've seen, there is a separate half of the story that seems to be missing, and I don't know where they're going to take this movie, so I'm really, really interested to see what happens. Who knows, maybe at the end of it, I'll be like, I definitely saw the whole movie. But I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the case this time. But who knows? Could be completely wrong. Either way, I'm ready to get emotional. I'm ready to go along for the ride. At least the general consensus, I would say, is it seems like fans that have seen it already really enjoy it or are ranking it highly. But it seems like the critics are saying, wow, this is just terrible. So, wow, I mean, it's like the gap there is pretty crazy as far as what people are thinking. So I'm nervous. I'm nervous to see that cast and crew right there and hear their questions and thoughts and answers. And nervous to see this movie, and get this little pit in my stomach that's just saying like, boy, I hope it's good. I hope it's good. So, like I said, I'm going to take a train in. Hopefully, I'll update you in a little bit. And hopefully, we got a positive review coming your way. We'll see. We are finally in the after. Finally. We have seen Jurassic World Dominion. I know all of its secrets. I know everything that happened in this movie. We're finally in the after. Together. We're here. We made it. Jurassic World Dominion has happened. So today has been a very long and adventurous day. If you're listening to this right now and it sounds a little loud, it's because I'm driving home. So I am safely driving home here, recording some thoughts as I go home because haven't had a chance to do anything up until this moment. And I did want to capture some reactions like fairly soon after seeing the movie. It's been a few hours since it ended. What was it? It was, it started a little bit later. So I ended up going, I probably told you already, but I went to the Q&A in New York City, right in front of me. We had the chance to sit like right in front of them, literally like two rows away, from Colin Trevorrow, Emily Carmichael, DeWanda Wise, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Jeff Goldblum. And it was incredible. It was incredible to see them just sitting right there. That was really, really awesome. I filmed the whole thing. I recorded the whole thing, so please stay tuned for that audio at some point. I'm not sure if it's in this episode or another one. We'll see, because I haven't edited it yet. Then they packed up all the equipment for streaming it to all of the other theaters around the country. So that was really cool that they just packed that up really quick. I helped them take away some wires from behind the seats. And then we moved over a little bit to some new seats and ended up watching the whole movie. It was a little close. We were a little close, but that's okay. Here's my reactions. Let's just get into it. I'll give you a little bit of spoiler free just in case, and then we'll maybe dive into some other spoilers. But I feel fulfilled. I feel really good. I feel really good after seeing that movie. I was definitely, like I said before in my earlier recording, I was definitely a little nervous going into this day and into this movie and just not knowing what to expect with this film because of all the bad reviews that are out there, just review bombing this movie for some reason. And I said it to Neems. Actually, I spent the entire day with Neems, the at Jurassic Your World account holder, host over there, Neems, movie poster guy. So we had a great day together hanging out. We got some pizza. We saw the Q&A together. We hung out for a while. And I was saying it to Neems after the movie about these reviews and about like how I was watching the movie and accepting it. Every moment throughout this movie, I was like, okay, I'm still good. Still feeling good about this. Still feeling good about this. The movie continued on. Still feeling good about this. And it ended. I'm like, feeling great. What are they talking about? I don't understand. Now, I will say that I haven't gone deep into the reviews, so I'll have to, see what people really, really thought about it because I haven't actually read full reviews. I've just basically seen tweets that are really disparaging, and of course, obviously, the Rotten Tomatoes scores and stuff. But enough of that because I really, really enjoyed this movie. I wasn't too worried that we had seen too much in the trailers. I knew we saw a lot, but I knew that there was still a lot left to come, and I think that proved true. So that was really cool. I loved every second of this movie, and maybe this is just reactionary to a first screening, but I really had such a great time with this. It was extremely fast-paced. Things were happening, literally one thing after another, but I actually really loved that pace. The fact that we get introduced to all these characters, we get all these things that were, all the story and plot that we're getting introduced to, and it all happened so fast, and then the movie is basically just dinosaur encounter after dinosaur encounter, with the actual plot underneath. And I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was the perfect way to do it. And, sure, there's things, if you've listened to the show, if this is your first time, welcome. But if you've listened to the show before, I've outlined things that I wish that I wanted to see in this movie. I had the whole flashback sequence and stuff like that. I had a lot of thoughts and feelings on ties and how things, not like neckties, but like theories and how all of the story ties together. Some things did happen, some things didn't happen. But overall, I cannot critique the movie based off of things that I wanted to see. That's not really how reviewing works, and that's not how it goes. But whatever I saw on the screen, everything that I saw, I enjoyed. I enjoyed the heck out of that. That was so much fun. Man. Whew, I'm out of breath just thinking about this movie. Like, seeing our old favorite characters, having the new characters, and I say new characters, and when I say that, I mean Bryce, Chris and Maisie. They're not new anymore. They've been around for the 3 movies, 2 movies for Maisie. Seeing them really, really adapted very well this time around. I felt like their story was legit, and I felt like they were real people and real characters, and I really loved that. Not that I didn't before, but I just felt like it really meshed well this time. Seeing the old characters just do their thing was just amazing. And Jeff was just off the wall. Like, maybe even more so than ever before. Not even a maybe. Absolutely more so than ever before. But I loved it. And the newcomers, and I say the new cast for sure this time, DeWanda Wise, Mamadou Achi, they were fantastic. DeWanda was just perfect. I loved her in this movie. She was fantastic. And Mamadou was amazing as well. I love this cast. Dodgson, Dr. Wu, everybody was really, really great in this movie. The score, it was definitely different and new. Very different tones, very different instrumentations. One thing I noticed was that it sounded like, and let me preface it by saying this, I'm like stuttering all over the place, but let me preface it by saying the first time I see a movie, the score sometimes goes like unnoticed in a way, or just like, not something that I really notice right away. It usually takes like 2 or 3 before I start picking up on a lot of the features of the score. I was actually picking them all up like right away, it felt like. And one thing I noticed was that it sounded like they kept referring to the Jurassic Park theme, and I know like a lot of people over the past 7 years have been like disappointed, and the critics on Twitter or whatever websites out there are like, how could you have a Jurassic movie and not utilize the score from the other movies? And I'm like, all right, enough of that. And Michael Giacchino's like, all right, is that what you really want? I'm gonna do it. And he did it, and it sounded great. It did sound great. But I'm always looking forward to the new stuff as well. And unfortunately, the new stuff was the stuff that I was like, I really got to dive into that. I was listening to the score on the way home on the train for a little bit, and there were some really cool cues in there. So yeah, I definitely got to dive into that a lot more thoroughly. What else can I talk about? I don't know. I just loved it. I loved it so much. So maybe we should dive into a few spoilers here before we move on. All right, so this is your spoiler warning. You have been warned. We are going to dive into full spoilers here. Again, I have no notes. I'm just on the road right now, just thinking about this movie, giving you my first takes here. Got it on cruise control. We're doing this. But we're going to dive into full spoilers here, and I might mention some theories and things here and there. Who knows? I have literally no clue what I'm about to say next outside of full spoilers. Back out now if you don't want to hear anything about this movie. Let's start. Where should we start? Let's start with like Ellie and Grant. That's a good place to start, I feel like. We had a wonderful introduction to these characters. I love that the movie referred to the history and the past of these characters. And, somebody like Ellie, they mentioned like, oh, how are your kids? And, oh, they're doing great. They're so old now, whatever. How's Mark? We're not together anymore. And I think this was a scene that was released early. I didn't end up watching it because I knew what was coming in the scene and I didn't want to hear it. I just didn't want to hear it actually happen. So I wanted to wait for the theater, and man, it really paid off in the theater. And, I've said it for a while that I didn't really want them to just split them up, but seeing it happen in person and stuff, it felt natural enough, and it felt like it was earned. So I was like, you know what? This really is what I always wanted for these characters. So I'm going with it. Let's go with it. Poor Mark. Sorry, Mark. I don't know what happened between you guys, but, I do feel bad that Mark got cut from the story here. Sympathy for Mark Degler. I don't know why. So I love that element of it, and to see them awkwardly interact throughout this movie and just like not really sure where they stood, between the two of them, watching them tiptoe around each other. I've really loved all their dynamics and them doing this whole sneaky espionage story, which I thought was fantastic. I loved seeing these characters that I know from like all of these dinosaur situations be put into basically a little spy thriller, and I thought that was really cool. And the fact that they come together at the end there and kiss finally once and for all, it was great to see. Let's go to Owen and Claire for a little bit here. So, hey, look, Owen didn't die. He did not die in this movie. So, I wasn't truly expecting it to happen. But, in my mind, if I'm thinking about a way for this character to go out and conclude this story, that's what I was thinking. But my theory really hinged on Blue being a part of things. And Blue really wasn't a part of things. That was very surprising, to be honest. But back to Owen and Claire, I thought they were really great. Seeing them interact as parents was really important, and I think it's interesting, and I'm interested to analyze this a little bit further. Going from that plot line in the first movie, which I know people complained about, showing that, or trying to make Claire into this motherly figure and stuff like that, and she has gotten to that point, whether she wanted to or not, I don't know, but she seemed to have fully accepted it at this point, and definitely loves Maisie. So I did really enjoy seeing them together. And I felt like they were real natural people. I loved how they interacted with each other. It felt so real. It felt earned. Like I felt like they deserved everything. And Maisie, we got a lot of story for Maisie, which is something that like definitely going to take a few viewings to fully take all of that in. But like the fact that Maisie is somebody who lived through so much, who was literally there nearly this whole time in the background before the events of the movies in the new trilogy, and was there during the events of the other one. It's crazy. Well, not necessarily before. That was still kind of before. This girl who grew up on the island basically, and was always there, and then was on Sorna Like, the fact that we saw, like, a park gate picture, that was crazy. Like, I know we saw this book back in Fallen Kingdom, but, like, we only saw, like, maybe 1 or 2 pages. But then to flip those pages a few more and all the secrets are revealed is just wild. You know, like, Maisie with the park gates. Excuse me, I'm yawning because it's 1:30 in the morning. You know, to see that, I think I forget what the school was. Was it NYU maybe or something like that? You know, this girl continued on throughout life, became a scientist. Like I said, worked on Isla Sorna or was like a kid studying. I don't really understand what was going on there because she was still like a teenager. And Dr. Wu was there, you know, in the background, just his voice. But the fact that she just had a condition, like a disease, I guess. I forget exactly what it was, but the fact that, like, it was mind-blowing that, like, it wasn't really what we thought it was, you know? There was always a little bit of doubt, I feel like, in our conversations about Maisie and where she came from, and we all just kind of assumed it was Dr. Wu, but never really had a firm stance. I don't think I ever really had a firm stance on it being Wu. I thought, well, Wu's probably the only option here. But the other option was Maisie herself, Charlotte Lockwood, which is like, did we have that? Like, that name feels so familiar. Did we have that before? I'm so confused. I gotta, like, figure this out. I'm flustered. But that was just crazy that, you know, she created Maisie based off of herself to fix or to give herself a full life, which is, it's mind-blowing. Like, I gotta, like, figure that out more and just, like, deep dive into that because it's crazy. And very, very cool, and kind of ties into things a little bit that, like, we've maybe predicted or thought about for the future, is like skipping ahead, which I know we probably are going to get a lot of, like, Kyla, Watts. I think Kayla Watts. We'll go with Kayla Watts. Now I'm like, I don't even know. I'm so, like, it's 1:30 in the morning. I'm tired. But Kayla, like, well, I'm sure we'll get stories with her or maybe Ramsey or whoever. And maybe even Owen and Claire and Maisie. Who knows? But where was I going with any of this? Oh, wow. I'm totally lost. Well, I definitely lost my theory. Maisie. But yeah, the fact that we got introduced to a new actress to play an adult version of Maisie was pretty fantastic because, you know, we've been saying, like, why not skip ahead 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the case may be, and see Maisie as an adult going through different experiences. I think that would be perfect, and they kind of set the stage there for something like that to potentially happen in the future, so that was really cool. And let's talk about the conclusion, you know, because that is how this movie is marketed, as a conclusion. And in a way, it is like a nice bow. It is very much like a nice bow for these people, these characters, the story. You know, everything's in the past now. We are truly in a new age, and despite them not really focusing on the homeland version of all of this and what's going on with all the dinosaurs, outside of, hey, we're just capturing them and sending them to Biosyn Valley. That was it. That was really all we saw. And then at the end, we're like, well, this is how we're living now. Grant's like, I still have a hard time accepting this, but it's okay, whatever. So outside of just, like, tying this bow and saying that this is the way it is now, there's still plenty of room for more. There's absolutely still room for more stories. You know, they tied up, like, we don't ever have to go to Jurassic Park again. You know, if they never wanted to go back to the islands, we never have to go back to islands. We don't necessarily have to ever go back to the original characters. And I do think So again, sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm yawning so much. I'm not like tired. I'm not falling asleep or anything, but yeah, back to the characters. I really don't think we'll ever go back to the original characters. There's no need, maybe we could go back to like other characters, which would be cool, but we don't need to go back to the original trio. I think their tables their stage is set. I wasn't gonna say tables are turned, because that's not really it, but their story is complete. I feel like it really is. Of course, as much as we'd love to see them again, I do think that they could be tied in a nice neat bow. Maisie, Owen, and Claire, there's really no need for them to ever be done. Like, they don't need to be done, I don't think. Which I think, like, the story of Maisie being a clone and all this stuff, and the science and keeping her hidden, that's all done. Like, we don't need to talk about that really anymore. And the science of it all is figured out with this locust, and it's all good. Like, everything's good. So the only thing that would ever need to occur again is just other stories with dinosaurs and interactions or something. But we don't necessarily need to go back to them. So, but I do think the world is still ripe for stories to be told. Like we've always said, there's always room for one-off movies featuring different, brand new characters, or, maybe some of these new ones that we've met, and just, solo isolated stories that don't have anything to do with the Jurassic saga. So I think we've got plenty of things to tell. What else can we talk about here in spoilers? I'm kind of surprised there were really no deaths from the main characters outside of Dodgson. I think that was about it, right? I guess Rain Delacourt. But Dodgson, very fulfilling, very satisfying in the way that Dodgson went out. And, man, those Dilophosaurs were very terrifying. I loved every moment of them. They were so, so cool. So Dodgson was an interesting one. He played it a very eccentric, smart. It felt a little bit different than the Dodgson that I imagined a little bit. But I kind of figured going into this, and everything we've seen as this, like, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, Apple headquarters kind of guy, I kind of figured, it would be kind of akin to maybe something that we saw out of, what was that movie? The one with Leonardo DiCaprio and The End of the World. What was that movie called? Whatever it was on Netflix. Wow, I can't think of the name of that movie. But there was like a kind of like a similar character in that movie who was like very eccentric. But I think this version of Dodgson was a little bit different than I expected him to be initially, but he was fine. I thought he was good. He wasn't as deadly and villainous as he is, I think, in the books. But he did try to, mess up the plans a lot and do some nasty things here and there. But yeah, I did love that character. It was interesting that we saw the Barbasol can, right? I mean, there's certainly story to tell there, with what happened there, because, we know that they retrieved this at some point, and I know that there are things out there that maybe point to what happened. But we might get more of that story in, what's it called, in Camp Cretaceous. So I'm definitely excited to see what happens there. Hopefully whatever happens with the Barbasol can and Camp Cretaceous jives well with what we saw here, which was not much. We just saw it was like a collection piece for him now. It's like they put this little memory here up on the shelf, my little toy collection here, Dodgson with his collection. And, as he's wrapping up and bumpy there. Well, no, not bumpy, but the car was bumpy. As he was wrapping everything up, it was like, let me pack this away. I got to take this relic with me. So I'm interested to see what happens there in Camp Cretaceous. Speaking of Camp Cretaceous, I feel like there kind of was a tie there with the communication and the control, which was very glossed over and really not touched on all that much. It was a quick mention of basically the same, as far as I can tell, it was the same mind control technique, right? I mean, that's pretty much what it sounded like. They implanted these chips or whatever they were into the heads of these dinosaurs, and when they needed to bring them in, which was not a great plan, let's be honest, Biosyn, like, why did you not create like actual paddocks for them or something like that? Like, every zoo or whatever has like, I don't know if every zoo, but a lot of places have like paddocks or places where they can go inside, take cover. So it's interesting that their plan was just to herd these dinosaurs into the central location where, like, employees just walk around all day. So I guess that's where they go. But yeah, they were mind controlled to walk back to, safety. So that was certainly implemented there. So I wonder if that'll, pan out in some way, form or fashion. We'll see. But that was cool to see. It was actually implemented, and it was not implemented in the Atrociraptors, right? There was no mind control on the Atrociraptors. That was a little bit more vague. It was much more like the Indoraptor. There was a little bit of communication there from like Soyono Santos, I believe, about how they were created or something like that. But basically the same exact targeting system. It's just, hey, let's shine this laser on him, and that's your target. Go kill your target. And they didn't. They failed pretty miserably. So, but let me say, that Malta sequence was amazing. Just incredible. I was just like on the edge of my seat that whole time, jaw dropped. So much chaos. Visually, it looked stunning. Like, it was stunning watching that entire chase sequence. All of the fights, all the chases, all the chaos, everything was so wild. I loved every second of that chase sequence, and like, heart-pounding. I figured he would make it onto the plane, Owen, with his motorcycle. I figured that is exactly what would go down. But just watching it all happen, it was so fun, so chaotic. And then seeing that Atrociraptor actually make it onto the plane and then get dumped out by the motorcycle, and just watching it fall. Oh, watching it free fall from this plane was amazing. I was like, oh my God. Wild stuff. That was just nuts. I feel like I barely talked about the dinosaurs. Like I said, we got a very minimal amount of screen time for Blue, which was pretty amazing. Like, pretty inspired, I guess, by the Jurassic World team over there. It's like, this is your money maker. They're constantly selling everything with Blue's image, but we're going to put her in there very minimally, which was, a bold choice. And even the T-Rex, it was like very minimal for the T-Rex. So really bold choices to take different directions and go with so many different dinosaurs. The Ket sequence was basically the Ket sequence. That's pretty much all we saw. Which is, sure, I would have liked to see more, but I'm okay with that. I would love to see a full Kets movie, Throw a few of them into, some setting and just have it attack people. Man, that would be so fun. Brutal, but fun. What else did we get? Therizinosaurus. There was, so I'll have to go back and listen to that score, but at the moment I feel like I was like catching like John Carpenter vibes. It was reminding me of like Halloween or something like that. And, which kind of makes a little sense because Michael Myers is a very stabby individual, and so is the Therizinosaurus. So I thought that was amazing. This thing using its claws, taking out a deer or whatever, trying to track down Claire, which was just terrifying. So it felt like a Michael Myers situation. Very convenient, though, that it roared at her and then just turned around. And then to see the final battle with the T-Rex, Giganotosaurus, and Therizinosaurus, I mean, I knew that was going to happen. There's been a lot of, reporting and obviously Lego sets and things based off of this. So, but to see it happen and to be scared during it, I was, again, legitimately scared for the T-Rex. Kind of, on one hand, I was legitimately scared, but also I was in the back of my head, I'm like, there's no way they could actually kill her off now because, like, we've barely even seen her. It wouldn't really be that fulfilling to just kill her off and then, like, barely have a story for her in this movie. But we actually got that grudge match, from the prologue, finally happened here, and actually, played out victoriously for the T-Rex and the Therizinosaurus. And the way that it happened was so brutal. It was just like, the T-Rex actually legitimately knocked down and knocked out of the fight for a good while. It had me scared. But it happened so fast that I was like, there's no way. She's got to come back, right? And she did, and she just pushed this Giganotosaurus, or Giganotosaurus as they say throughout the movie, just pushed it straight into the claws of the Therizinosaurus, impaling it and instantly taking it out. Oh, and must we not forget the fact that it very well looked like the T-Rex from, I said that very, slowly, but the T-Rexes from The Lost World, I believe that's what we were looking at there at the very end of the movie. We only saw 2. So are we going with the theory that the one that died in Jurassic Park 3 was the baby? Is that what we're going with here? And then the only ones left were the buck and the doe? And they all coexist together? Like, is that our theory here? Or was it like Big Edie and Little Edie? I really don't know what's going on with them, but maybe it was them. I don't know. I don't know. I still don't really understand Big Edie and Little Edie, but here we are. But whoever they were, it was beautiful to see the Queen, Rexy, with other T-Rexes. That was so meaningful and so impactful to see that. And it was very much, reminiscent of The Lost World in that final sequence, of The Lost World with John Hammond speaking over things, just the way that correlated. Now you have, I think it was adult Maisie speaking over this sequence. And I feel like, I don't remember the dialogue there fully, but I feel like it was very like John Hammond-esque kind of like dialogue where, you hear her talking over all of these shots of dinosaurs naturally living in the wild together with different species. It was like horses and the Parasaurolophus, and it was geese and Quetzalcoatlus and other things or whatever. And it was T-Rex, all the T-Rexes living together. Oh my God. And there's probably other stuff. Oh man. This movie was epic. It was epic and everything I really wanted, for the most part. Of course, there were things not in there. Of course, no flashback sequences. There was like a little bit of videotape on there, which is like their way of doing flashbacks. But so, I can say like I'm disappointed that we didn't get all of the flashbacks that we thought maybe would come, but again, it's just our own theorizing gone wrong. So we have nobody to blame but ourselves for that. So, I can't really say that's a bad thing or anything, because we saw one picture of a crate, which seemed to be on Sorna, and we went wild with that picture. That's what we do. We theorize constantly as fans, and we went wild with our theories, and they were wrong. We just got video clips from the past, 1986. And then also the dots being connected. I've always wanted the dots connected. We did our live streams recently over on YouTube, and I just really wanted to hear a thorough explanation as far as who has Dr. Wu been working for this whole time. I really want to hear this on screen in the theaters, within the film universe. I really want to hear what's going on. And to, maybe one day we'll really analyze each and every word that is spoken between the movie series and Camp Cretaceous to kind of connect the dots and see, from Hoskins to Mills to Wu to Dodgson, what's the thread and how does it all connect? So a little disappointing we didn't really get that. But outside of that, I tried not to have a ton of hopes and dreams and theories for this movie. I tried backing off of a lot of them as we got closer to it. Outside of saying maybe Owen will die. I think Owen will die in this. That didn't happen. So my guess is a lot of them didn't pan out, but, we kind of knew a lot about this movie going in. So I tried not to theorize because I didn't really want to step all over the obvious plot points and things that I knew about ahead of time. So, yeah, but I think my brain is spent. It is 1:52 in the morning. I've been talking for a while. I don't know where I am. I have no idea. So I gotta, look at the signs and find out how to get home from here. I gotta be close, I think I am. But anyway, I appreciate you joining us on this journey over the past few years, the past 4 years since Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and theorizing and plotting out this movie from that day onward, and just coming on this journey and speculating with all of us. It's been wild, and it's been fun. It's been stressful, and it's been extra long, and I know that weight has felt heavy for a lot, myself included, over the past few months, but we finally made it. We are out on the other side. We are finally in the after, and there's a lot to discuss. There's certainly a lot to discuss, a lot of people to discuss it with, and I do want everybody's thoughts and feelings. So if you could do that and give me some thoughts and feelings, please give us a call, 732-825-7763. Let us know what you thought about this movie. I want all of your spoiler takes, so please, give us the spoilers. We'll make sure to mark that episode spoiler heavy, and you can also record a voice memo, just like I'm doing right now, on your phone, and email that over to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com, and we'll take everything that you got and try to keep them at the 3-minute mark or so. That would be great if you could do that. But yes, please let us know what you thought about Jurassic World Dominion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to be trying to record about that fairly soon, so get those in as soon as possible. We'd love to hear what you think about this movie. That's my first time seeing it, and I felt like I absorbed a lot of that movie, but there's definitely still more to catch. I had so much fun. The Q&A was amazing. The past 7 years have been amazing, so thank you so much to everybody out there. And thank you to Colin, Emily, the entire cast and crew for making this movie happen. It felt special. It felt real. It felt like a great journey. I feel satisfied with this. And, here's hoping we got more. Thanks, everybody. Well, there you have it. Those were my tired ramblings as I was driving home from the theater. A quick update for you. It seems like via a tweet, Colin has confirmed the existence of the doe and the buck Rex from the Lost World at the end of the movie, so the speculation was accurate there, I guess. That was what a ride. I cannot wait to see this movie again. Can't wait to talk about it more in full depth. Get some more reviews out there and thoughts and feelings, so please stay tuned for more. Be sure to visit us over on our website, JurassicParkPodcast.com.
find everything over there related to the podcast. Please give us a follow over on social media at Jurassic Park Pod. I am at Brad Jost on Twitter. Over on Instagram, you can find us at Jurassic Park Podcast. Subscribe to us over on YouTube, where we do all kinds of videos, toy hunts, live streams every Wednesday night, theme park stuff, literally anything you could want for Jurassic. So please go give us a follow over on YouTube. We are on Facebook as well, or TikTok as well, so please go follow us over there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and going on this journey with us. It's been so much fun. We really appreciate each and every one of you. So be sure to stay safe out there. Be kind to each and every person that you come into contact with. Always remember that representation matters in life and in the Jurassic franchise. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as always, enjoy.